Have you ever wondered why some organizations, companies perform so well and the others perform dismally? And in fact, why some companies actually collapse? And the answer is corporate governance. Corporate governance is the fiber and the strength that has held all these companies, all these organizations, multinationals, local companies, to grow to where they are today. So corporate governance has now become the strength and foundation of any corporate entity across the world. And corporate governance is the subject of the book that I wrote in 2019. But before I come to that, let me say a little bit about myself. My name is Patrick Daniel Chisanga. My background is business administration and treasury management. I studied in Zambia as well as in the UK at the London School of Accountancy. I had the privilege to serve in the Zambian public and private sector for many years. In recent years, when I say recent, in the last 20 years or so, I have been associated more in the private sector since I retired from public service. I have been responsible for initiating a number of business entities, family-held companies in our private space. Specifically, today, I want to refer to Dynamic Concepts Zambia Limited, which is our consulting firm in corporate governance. It's a firm which I initiated after spending many years accredited to the World Bank as an advisor on corporate governance. And I felt that Zambia could benefit from developing and strengthening corporate governance principles and practices in our country. I was also instrumental in the formation of the Institute of Directors of Zambia back in the year 2000. In fact, I chaired the task force which was put together by various international authorities on corporate governance to help us initiate the establishment of corporate governance in Zambia. I chaired that initial task force, and when we finally established the IOD, our first president was the late David Perry, who was a very, very well-known industrialist in the private sector. I then followed as the second president. I served from the year 2001 to 2005. I served for 3 years. It was during that time when I was serving as president of the IOD that a seed was planted in my mind. I looked at the situation in Zambia. We had a long period from 1964 when we got independence. I saw the changes that were taking place in our economy. From a private sector-led economy in 1964, held firmly in private hands, through to a period of transition with state monopoly of the economy, and later on to privatization and beyond that. I felt that there was a need to capture and to record the history of the development of corporate governance in Zambia. It was my view that in order for me to contribute to the development of our economy, to the development of my country, I could share the knowledge and experiences that I had gathered over the years in the field of corporate governance. And so I set about to write this book on corporate governance. The development of corporate governance in Zambia, successes and failures. That's what I have captured. The book takes you back from the beginning of 1964 when we acquired our independence. What was the economic structure at the time? The book takes you through the period of nationalization when Dr. Kaunda, through the Mulungushi reforms in 1968, decided to nationalize the economy. It takes you through to the period of consolidation of the national economy in government, or state monopoly if you like. It takes you through to the period when we commenced privatization in 1991 and dismantled the complete nationally held economy. My book introduces the principles, the practices, best practices of corporate governance. My book focuses on various elements upon which corporate governance is anchored, the pillars of corporate governance. It's a book which is essential reading, in my opinion, to anybody who is interested in the business of running corporate entities, shareholders, members of board of directors, management, chief executives, and even, for that matter, students of corporate governance. In the universities and the business colleges that are so many in our country now, this book is essential reading. And I would commend it to all sectors in our economy to get a copy. The book is now widely available in most of the major bookstores in Zambia, Bookworld, Grey Matter. It's also available at the Institute of Directors. It's also available online on Amazon. At a modest price in Zambian kwacha, of 400 kwacha, you can get a copy. I am now in the process of thinking about publishing a second edition on corporate governance. In my first book, I talked about the growth and development of corporate governance in Zambia. I now want to take one stage up and talk about the growth and development of corporate governance across the African continent. I invite you to read my book on corporate governance and also to anticipate my next installment on the growth and development of corporate governance on the African continent. I thank you for listening to me.